A young man named Lu Tian comes home late. He's a college graduate who just finished working overtime at his new internship. Suddenly, he's blinded by a bright light as a luxury car hits him. He sees that the driver is a beautiful woman. The woman looks straight ahead, her face illuminated by the same blinding car headlights that fill the student's vision. His body is thrown into the air by the force of the impact, and his limbs flail. As his shoe flies off, he thinks that dying at the hands of a beautiful woman might not be so bad after all. A mysterious blue screen appears. It congratulates you on being chosen as the savior of the apocalypse. A portal opens, pulling him in as a system explains that he is being sent to a world after a bio-crisis, but he protests. He screams that he's not going, thinking about his parents and how he's never kissed a girl. The young man continues his frantic thoughts, shouting that he is still a virgin, which is met with a comical and confusing image. Red warning signs are flashing. Your intense thoughts are interfering, and the system is on the verge of collapse. The system announces the end of transmigration. At the same time, the apocalyptic system load is completed. The young man opens his bruised and bandaged eyes. He seems disoriented, wondering if the shipment is truly finished. He bolts out of bed, shouting that he doesn't want to transmigrate. A new warning claims that shouting attracts zombies. Looking around, he realizes he is not in an apocalypse, but in what appears to be a luxurious hotel room. He then looks down and realizes he's wearing a hospital gown, which only adds to his growing confusion. He then sees an IV drip and wonders if he's in a hospital. A system alert informs him that a toxic liquid is increasing his health. His eyes drift to the floor, where he sees a yoga mat and some discarded clothing. The system identifies a bra as a shapewear bra. The young man sits up, shocked to see that the system has identified the underwear as a piece of armor. Suddenly, he winces in pain, clutching his injured arm as he moves too quickly. A new mission arises, tasking him with staying with a level S zombie for 73 hours. He finally accepts that he's in an apocalypse. At that moment, the sound of a door opening catches his attention, and he looks up with a startled expression. A red warning flashes on the screen, alerting him that an S-rank zombie is approaching, and he must prepare to fight or flee. The door slowly opens, revealing a person in pink slippers entering the room. The young man's face tenses as he prepares for the high-level threat he believes is about to appear. Meanwhile, a woman wrapped only in a towel comes out, looking like she just took a shower. He stares at her, his face flushed. He thinks she's definitely S-rank, but then hesitates, confused by her appearance. His heart pounds in his chest as he observes the supposed zombie, which looks nothing like what he expected. The woman comes over and pinches his cheek, happy that the boy is finally awake after 3 long days. She approaches and asks why he isn't greeting her savior properly, while he remains frozen in terror. He's confused by her words. The system then alerts him that he's at the perfect distance to attack the zombie and receive a huge reward. His cheek still twitching, the young man nervously asks if it's the year 2024. A system alert tells him he's missed his opportunity to attack. The woman confirms the year, thinking his brain must be damaged. He then hesitantly asks if she was the one who saved him. She proudly claims to be his savior and declares that from now on, he must do whatever she says, leaving him completely stunned. The system continues to issue warnings, informing him that the S-rank zombie is attacking him and asking if he intends to fight back. At that moment, a doctor appears and informs the woman that fortunately, there is no brain damage and that the boy will be able to be discharged in a few days. The woman thanks the doctor, who mentions a banquet. She offers to secure an invitation for him. Above their heads, the system displays their ranks. The student is shocked to realize that everyone has attribute boxes above their heads, which the system has identified as zombies. He deduces that ranks must be linked to social status. He notes that the director is rank A, while the nurses are rank B. As a nurse tends to his arm, he asks where he is. She calmly informs him that this is the Jingzhou Dynasty Hospital. He then discovers that it's a private hospital owned by Jingzhou's richest man, Wang Han. The name sounds familiar. The nurse warns him that removing the IV will hurt a bit. He screams as she presses a bandage over the injection site. A system alert flashes again, informing him that he's being attacked by a zombie. He mentally mocks the stupid system for its broad definition of attack. The nurse explains that CEO Wang saved him, and that's why he's in the hospital's SVIP ward. The boy thinks about this and questions himself. She adds that CEO Wang is very kind and is staying there, covering all her expenses. He looks at her in disbelief. But as he looks at her, he remembers the truth clearly. She wasn't his savior, she was the one who ran him over. Suddenly, the woman looks in his direction, causing the student to panic internally. He remembers the yoga mat and what the nurse said. He realizes she must have been practicing yoga in his room for 3 days. He wonders if the system announcements he received while unconscious were triggered by her actions, like her morning stretches, system logs of your sleep time flash, one alerting you to a zombie's predatory stance and another to a B-rank zombie removing its armor. He watches as the woman begins to change her clothes, confused as to how the zombie's classification has apparently changed after he woke up. Another alert appears, informing you that the S-rank zombie is removing its armor and urging you to seize the opportunity to defeat it. As she takes off her shirt, he thinks about the system's constant warnings to attack her, and wonders if there really might be a reward. With a sudden nosebleed, he feels an overwhelming urge to fight this zombie, much to the confusion of a nearby nurse. The system praises him, announcing that he is finally adopting an apocalyptic mindset and encouraging him to fight. The woman confronts him about his strange behavior. He quickly blames it on a cramp, while the system reports a penetrating attack. She orders him to repeat the story. He nervously recites that a hit-and-run driver fled after being hit, but kind CEO Wang saved him. Satisfied, she pats him and tells him he can leave without worry. He's surprised, thinking she'd stay until he was discharged. She explains that she has urgent matters to attend to, and asks him to be a good boy and stay put for a few more days. She then leans closer, whispering a warning not to say anything wrong if another woman comes looking for her. With a charming but menacing smile, she adds that it would be a real headache for her if he got it wrong. He recognizes her words as a blatant threat, which makes him even more certain that she assaulted him. Nervously, he asks CEO Wang a question. He asks if she is the daughter of wealthy Jingzhou businessman Wang Han, given her surname and connection to the dynasty group. She confirms, introducing herself as Wang Yarong. The student is surprised to realize he was assaulted by the daughter of a super billionaire. He asks why she's revealing her identity so openly, wondering if she's afraid of being blackmailed. She laughs at the idea. Just then, a voice calls out to him from the door. A system alert flashes, warning him that 2 level A zombies are approaching. 2 bodyguards enter. She explains that they are there to protect him, but he understands that this is simply house arrest. The woman orders him to stay put and not go anywhere until she returns. Defeated, he can only agree. After she leaves, he sits alone in his hospital room at night, checking his messages on his phone. He explains the accident to the team leader, but the leader fires him for missing work. His pleas for another chance are ignored. Looking at his cell phone in despair, he realizes that the internship he worked so hard to get no longer exists. Stuck in the hospital and now unemployed, he lies in bed wondering if he can really trust the woman's promise of compensation. Then he remembers he's not completely defenseless. He still has the Apocalyptic System to rely on. He opens his status panel and is disappointed by his pathetic stats and empty slots for skills and items. He then checks the stats of the people he's met. Wang Yarong's stats are incredibly high, with luck being his best attribute. Even the doctor's statistics are far superior to his, with an especially high level of intelligence. He feels completely at a disadvantage. He even looks at the bodyguard's stats, which show high physical abilities but low scores in other areas. The student complains that with his mediocre statistics, being sent into a real apocalypse would mean certain death. He decides to check the system store to see if he can buy anything useful. The store screen appears, showing mostly blocked spaces. He notices that he has 1,480 system coins, and realizes that this must be the currency to buy items in the store. He remembers the system notifying him about rewards, and figures this coin must be what he has accumulated over the past few days. Since it's an apocalyptic system, he's excited, hoping to find lots of powerful and awesome items to sell. He is shocked to discover that a single cream bun costs 500 coins, while a simple fruit knife costs only 10. An SS-tier skill book called Thunderclap is available, but its price tag of 20,000 coins makes it seem impossible to obtain. Frustrated, he bites his pillow, complaining that the only accessible items are stat boosts, which seems like a poor reward for his near-death experience. At this point, a system notification congratulates you on surviving another day and announces that the store's supplies have been replenished. The refresh timer on the store screen begins counting down from 24 hours. Once the timer reaches 0, the items in the shop are updated for the new day. With his arms crossed, the young man looks at the newly updated inventory, curious to see if there is anything better this time. New items include a revolver for 800 coins, some chewing gum, and a 100-gram gold bar for just 100 coins. He's perplexed to realize that 100 grams of gold is cheaper than a cream roll. He wonders if this is a bug in the system. He then realizes that the system follows the laws of the apocalypse, where resources like food are much more valuable than gold or diamonds. Still skeptical, he buys 3 gold bars. The system confirms the trade and adds a sarcastic comment about his intelligence. As 300 points are deducted from his total, he becomes angry at the system for insulting him. He quickly checks his phone and finds that the real-time gold price is 620 per gram. Holding the 3 100-gram gold bars, he begins to do the math, his expression full of disbelief. He is ecstatic to realize that he suddenly has a small fortune valued at around 180,000. Her scream of excitement startles one of the bodyguards standing guard outside the room. The guards and a nearby nurse wonder if they should check on him, but remember their orders to just keep an eye on things. Now that he knows the gold is real, the student wonders if the other resources in the system are also legitimate. He decides to test the stat points and presses the upgrade button to improve his stamina and physique. A notification confirms that he has increased his stamina by 30 points, which also grants him a bonus to physique and charisma. The upgrade costs him 600 points, and the system again comments that he is a little smarter than a pig. At that moment, a nurse enters the room with a smile, announcing that it is time for him to change his clothes. She looks around the empty room, confused when she can't find him beside the bed. A nervous voice calls out from the bathroom, telling her to wait, as he is busy. The nurse stands outside the bathroom, trying to warn him that due to his injuries, he shouldn't touch the water yet. But as she speaks, he opens the door, revealing an incredibly muscular physique that leaves her completely speechless. An old system log reveals that he was alerted that a level B zombie had broken down the door when the nurse entered his room. Your status panel now reflects the improvements, showing your increased stamina, physique, and charisma points. Meanwhile, a luxury car arrives at the hospital, where a line of doctors waits to receive an important visitor. The hospital director respectfully welcomes the woman, calling her older lady and saying it is an honor to have her there. The woman, Wang Yafu, ignores the pleasantries. She claims to know everything about what her younger sister is up to. She is the executive CEO of the Wang dynasty, accompanied by her secretary. She demands to be taken to the man her sister has brought. At the same time, Wang Yarong receives a frantic phone call. His sister has arrived and is heading straight to Lu Tian's room. She slams her foot on the accelerator, urging her contact to buy her time. She wonders how her sister manages to have spies everywhere. With a determined look, she thinks that she cannot allow her sister to contaminate her because of this incident. The scene cuts back to the hospital, where a tense confrontation is brewing between the two powerful sisters. Back in his room, the student apologizes to the distraught nurse, explaining that he forgot to lock the door while he was changing. A red warning flashes on the system, announcing that the B-rank zombie is scanning the host's entire body. While trying to cover himself, he accidentally steps on a towel that was on the wet floor, which makes him slip. He loses his balance and falls forward, hitting his head on the nurse. The system praises him and encourages him to attack the zombie. As they fall to the ground, the nurse's hat is ripped off. The system records this as damage dealt, awarding him 2 points. The student falls on top of her, looking down with a nervous, apologetic expression as he explains that he slipped. Lying on the floor, the nurse tells him not to be nervous, as she was the one who changed his underwear when he was unconscious. He blushes, realizing she must be the B-rank zombie the system mentioned was removing his armor before he woke up. She then calmly asks him to get off her. The system declares the B-level zombie subdued, rewarding him with 20 points. He stands up in a panic, waving his hands and apologizing profusely, insisting it wasn't on purpose. The nurse stands up and smiles, teasing him that his behavior is unsophisticated but an effective way to get a girl's attention. Suddenly, a new system message appears, announcing that he has unlocked Conquest mode, which leaves him completely perplexed. Before he can process this, new red warnings flash on the screen, alerting him to the appearance of A and SS rank zombies. At that moment, the door opens to reveal 2 women. The leader comments that they seem to have arrived at a rather inopportune time. The system identifies newcomers as SS and A rank zombies, warning you that the strongest one has aggressive intentions. He feels a chill at the CEO's furious gaze, terrified by her presence. The nurse quickly tries to explain that it was just an accident. Now standing, the student confronts the 2 women and asks who they are, still in his underwear. The CEO introduces herself as Wang Yafu from Dynasty Group, and tells him not to be nervous as the nurse hands him something. She extends her hand for a handshake, and the student shakes it, although he is taken aback by the gesture. Meanwhile, the nurse, Li Ruchen looks at a business card she just passed him, offering a subtle, encouraging smile. The CEO notices his distraction and questions him. She then bluntly states that his disappointing little sister was the one who assaulted him. With a sly smile, she asks if he's ever thought about seeking justice, claiming she only just found out. He nervously tries to maintain his cover story, but she suddenly grabs his hand. He's shocked by her strength, as a system alert flashes. The system's warning continues, stating that the host's armor is gradually breaking down and repeatedly urging him to fight back. She denies the allegations, and her secretary shows her the proof on her cell phone. They found repair records for her sister's car after a crash. Refusing to be fooled, he insists she is his savior. The system then advises him to equip armor, but he panics when he remembers he doesn't have pants. She squeezes him tighter, causing him a sharp pain. The system announces that his armor has been pierced, and his health is decreasing. A dire warning appears on the screen. It states that if its health reaches 0, the host will die permanently. Sweating under her intense gaze, he struggles to free himself from her grip. She demands to know what her sister Wang Yarong gave him to shut him up. Her face darkens as she warns him of the consequences of choosing the wrong side and becoming her enemy. Her fingers dig into his hand, causing him visible pain. The system continues to flash, indicating that his health is deteriorating further. The red alert persists on the screen, confirming that your health continues to drop steadily due to the SS-level zombies' attack. She then changes her tone, offering him a deal. If he testifies on her behalf, she says they'll be friends and that she treats her friends well. Her secretary holds out the phone, ready to take down his payment information, but he refuses. He looks at the CEO and asks if she thinks she can do whatever she wants just because she has money. With tears streaming down his face, he screams that even a cornered rabbit will bite and demands that she let go of his hand. The woman just smiles, unimpressed by his outburst. She mocks his inability to even let go. She challenges him to free himself if he can, teasingly calling him weak. The system alerts him that the SS-ranking zombie is looking down on him. It encourages him to prove his worth and in turn intimidate her. Driven by a sudden competitive impulse, he shouts that he is not weak. A golden guitar-shaped aura erupts around him. His demonstration is surprisingly effective. The system notifies him that both zombies are severely frightened, earning him a total of 56 points. At that exact moment, Wang Yarong bursts through the door, only to find the 2 bodyguards lying on the ground in front of her. Her expression hardens as she thinks she can't let her sister get any information from the boy. She runs into the room, frantically asking where her sister is, and if he said anything to her. He tearfully tells her that he did everything he could to cover up her crime, leaving her completely confused. Meanwhile, Wang Yafu and his secretary are in the car, both disgusted and angered by the student's behavior. The secretary asks if they should continue to watch Lu Tian, while the CEO becomes furious, calling him a disgusting loser. She orders her secretary to keep a close eye on him. She needs his testimony to destroy her sister at her father's banquet. Wang Yarfudel bursts out laughing, finding it hilarious that his devilish sister could be afraid. She tells the student that he has no idea what kind of monster he just scared, explaining that her sister has been a powerful person since childhood. 2 years ago, her father entrusted her with most of the group's assets. Under her leadership, the company's revenue increased dramatically. Not only is she a brilliant CEO, but she's also a multiple-time women's boxing champion who could have gone to the Olympics. The student now understands why his stamina is so high. He realizes that greater stamina must mean greater fighting ability. Wang Yarfudum then notices that her facial injuries have completely disappeared overnight, and she curiously pinches her cheeks. She touches his face, commenting on how much better his skin is and asking what kind of medicine he took. He panics, unsure how to explain. She continues, noting that his entire aura has changed and questioning if he is still the same Lu Tian as before. He's had enough of their intrigues. He pushes her hand away, declaring that he's not her puppet and that he has no time for their rich man's games. He says he's going to pack his things and leave, assuring her he won't try to scam her for compensation now that he knows she assaulted him. His sudden declaration leaves her speechless, her eyes wide with surprise as she watches him walk away. As he turns to leave, she tells him not to worry about it. He figures that with the system, he doesn't have to worry. She then makes him an offer. If he agrees to the terms, she will give him a full-time job at Dynasty Group. As he looks at it, he notices that his status bar now has a new pink progress bar below it. He remembers that after his interaction with the nurse earlier, he unlocked Conquest Mode. This new bar must be related to that. he quickly becomes flustered, denying any romantic feelings for her and telling her not to get the wrong idea. He notices that the nurse's progress bar was higher, so she must have higher favorability. He considers what a full bar might mean. He imagines a scenario where the progress bar is at its maximum. If that happens, he wonders who could resist. Determined to exploit the system's conquest mode, he agrees to hear her condition, though he remains cautious. She explains that her sister won't give up, and that she'll continue to have people watching him. She doesn't want any complications for an upcoming banquet. The condition is that he stay with her until after her father's birthday banquet, which leaves him dazed and confused. She explains further, saying that he will stay at her house for a few days, for which she will give him generous compensation. He is shocked when she takes him to a huge, luxurious apartment, asking if she really lives there alone. She informs him that his necessities and clothing are prepared. His 2 bodyguards will be waiting in the lobby if he needs anything. He asks if she won't stay there too. She replies that of course she won't stay there if he moves. Just when he thinks his plan to stick around and earn rewards is ruined, one of her assistants comes running in with news. The assistant reports that they have contacted a certain Mr. Bai, who is willing to part with a valuable white jade tablet. The system alerts him that he is surrounded by zombies again and asks if he wants to achieve rank A. He smiles, finally finding something to be happy about. He wonders if the system will require him to conquer every woman he sees. With the deal finalized, Wang Yarong officially declares the agreement in effect and is ready to go about her business. As she leaves, she jokes and warns him that if he dares to run away, she won't let him escape. He promises to do as he's told. She smiles, thinking how easy it is to deal with recent graduates. She then notices that he seems to have grown taller, but ignores it. He becomes irritated, feeling underestimated. Elsewhere, Wang Yarong meets with an elderly expert, Uncle Gong, who carefully inspects the white jade plate she has acquired. The expert confirms the item's authenticity. He assures her that it's the same valuable piece her father sold many years ago. Later, they meet the seller, Mr. Bai. She thanks him for the treasure and says the 10 million is ready, but he stops her. With a smirk, Mr. Bai explains that although they had an agreement, the price of the treasure increased by another 5 million. His assistant is outraged by the last-minute change, but Wang Yarong calmly accepts the new price without any argument. She agrees to the price increase on the condition that he guarantees to sell only the jade to her. He accepts the terms. However, he gives her only 1 day to gather the money before finding other buyers and immediately leaves the room. Uncle Gong worries that the price is too high and that they will be ridiculed, but she reminds him how important the jade is to their father. Determined to obtain the item, she orders her assistant Xiao Yu to contact a dealership and sell their cars to raise funds. She smiles with determination, thinking that this time she will definitely make her father happy with this important gift. Meanwhile, back in the luxurious apartment, the student sits alone and opens the system status screen. He stares at the panel, confused. He doesn't remember improving his charisma and physical strengths. A system prompt reminds him that for every 5 points of resistance improved, he gains a bonus point in physical and charisma. He notices that he gets 2 free stat points for every 5 he buys, thinking it's a fantastic deal. Noticing his improved vision and stronger body, he feels confident that putting points into stamina was the right choice. At this point, the system store updates its inventory. He's disappointed to see that only 3 items are available again. The first item is a teleportation device for 800 points. He's impressed by the idea of unlimited teleportation. The second item is a rapid run skill book for 10,000 points. He wonders if it would be faster than teleportation. The third item is a simple adhesive bandage for 100 points, an absurdly high price that makes you feel like you're being ripped off. He analyzes the points he gained from his meetings with the nurse, the CEO, and his secretary. The system summarizes his achievements for the day. He survived a siege by several zombies and earned a total of 98 points. With no gold bars available, he decides to save his points until he has enough to buy a skill book. He sits on the couch, wondering if there are other ways to earn system points faster. He remembers that he has unlocked a new mode and opens the system screen. Scrolling through the available options, he sees a hunting mode where he can hunt zombies for rewards. He discards it, refusing to hurt people. Next up is survival mode, which rewards him for surviving sieges. He finds this much simpler as it only requires him to be near people. Finally, he sees the zombie breeding mode, which involves capturing and taming zombies to increase their favorability. He's intrigued. His imagination runs wild as he imagines himself in this new role of tamer. The system calls his thoughts perverted and hopeless. He quickly recovers, dismissing the idea as illegal and immoral, though he has a sly smile on his face. Just then his phone rings, startling him. He wonders who could be calling him so late at night. He sees a message from Li Ruhuan, the hospital nurse, asking if he is sleeping. She asks if his injuries have improved since he was discharged. He responds politely, thanking her again for her care. She then offers him a way to repay her by taking her out for a late-night snack. He suspects she just wants him to pay a bill. He refuses, but she insists, asking him to come out and help comfort her friend who's just been dumped. It's the first time a girl has asked him out. He thinks about it, but then remembers the 2 bodyguards stationed in the lobby. The system warns him that he's about to be corrupted by a zombie. She then sweetens the deal by promising to introduce him to all her best friends if he shows up. She sends him a photo of herself with 2 attractive friends, asking if he thinks they're cute. He wonders if it's a test. The offer is too good to refuse. His eyes glow red as he shows determination to face these B-level zombies, but he faces a problem. His current stamina isn't enough to get past the 2 bodyguards positioned below. He then has an idea. He realizes that increasing his charisma can change his appearance. He immediately spends 600 system points, deducting from his total but adding 30 points to his charisma stat. The scene then shifts to the brightly lit lobby of the apartment building, where 2 receptionists are on duty. At the front desk, a receptionist worries that the 2 men in suits will scare the residents. Her superior responds that CEO Wang assigned them. Just then, a delivery man passes by the 2 bodyguards, announcing a delivery. It's Lu Tian, completely disguised by his new charisma. An older man in the lobby notices the handsome young man at the front desk and points him out to his date. The 2 receptionists are enchanted by the young man's appearance. One of them wonders why she's never seen him before, assuming he's just moved in. After successfully escaping, Lu Tian returns to his floor and confidently walks out of the elevator, straight towards the bodyguards. He stands uncomfortably close to one of the guards, and his new confidence creates a tense and intimidating atmosphere. The bodyguard is disturbed by the intense gaze and turns abruptly, clearing his throat. The student smiles, his plan working. The 2 men decide they are thirsty and must go get water and food, leaving their post completely unguarded. Without the guards, the young man easily leaves the building and arrives at a busy steakhouse in the city center. Inside, Nurse Li Rochin and her 2 friends are already sitting at the table, laughing and asking their boss for more drinks. One friend asks why she invited a guy who isn't handsome. The other agrees, saying they should at least celebrate with someone handsome. The nurse defends her choice, explaining that while he may not be handsome, he has a certain clumsy cuteness. Just then, Lu Tian arrives at their table. He calls the nurse, and her friends are visibly surprised by his handsome face. He smiles and waves, apologizing for keeping them waiting. The nurse looks at him, equally shocked by his transformation. A system message appears, unlocking a new mission. Now he must survive the zombie siege for 2 hours to receive a reward. The system immediately alerts him that he is being attacked by zombies, with a B-level zombie attacking his chest. The nurse's 2 friends are on top of him, praising the firm muscles of his chest and inviting him to drink with them. Meanwhile, the nurse watches him with a thoughtful expression. She finds it strange how she suddenly wants to make him hers. She thinks he's gotten even more handsome and feels an intense desire to eat him, while he inwardly enjoys the attention. He confirms his theory. By remaining in a crowded place, the system will identify that he is surrounded by zombies and reward him. The girls are impressed with his ability to hold his liquor and suggest they go to a bar to continue drinking. At that moment, a man with a large tattoo on his arm slams a bottle on their table, asking if that was all they were drinking. The sea-level zombie and his 2 friends approach the table and invite themselves to have some drinks with the girls. One of the nurse's friends immediately rejects the offer, telling the men they are not welcome and are about to leave anyway. The tattooed man ignores her and puts his arm around Lu Tian, insisting that they are all friends now. The nurse smiles, calling the man an old-fashioned gangster, which immediately angers him. Seeing the situation worsen, Lu Tian tries to calm her down by offering the tattooed man a drink. The nurse observes his responsible behavior, her eyes reflecting his image with renewed admiration, but the man slaps his hand away, shouting that he doesn't want to drink with him. The spilled liquid splashes onto the nurse. Furious, she stands up and threatens to call the police if they don't stop harassing them. Enraged, the man raises his hand to hit the nurse, calling her a big mouth. But before he could land the blow, Lu Tian reacts, grabbing the man's wrist and stopping the attack. He tells the man not to dare be violent with a girl. The system rewards him with 10 points for capturing a G-level zombie. The man becomes furious and asks the brat if he's tired of living. The nurse, however, looks at her defender with admiration. The man's two friends approach, ready to fight. One tries to reason with them, but the other is ready to fight. Realizing he is still at a disadvantage, Lu Tian quickly spends 100 system coins to further increase his stamina. Despite his improved physique, he feels a wave of nervousness. This is his first time in a real fight. A fight breaks out in the restaurant. The student wonders if the system's bonuses will be enough to win. The other customers scream in alarm as the fight turns violent, with someone yelling to call the police. With a swift movement, he smashes a bottle over one of the men's heads. The system awards him 400 points for defeating the 3 zombies. The flashing lights of a police car are seen outside the restaurant as authorities arrive on the scene. The 4 remain outside, being questioned by the police after the incident is resolved. With tears of pride in his eyes, Lu Tian basks in the glory of his victory. After defeating bandits in front of a group of girls, the 3 women are impressed by his skills and praise him. He humbly downplays the problem, saying he simply exercises regularly. One of the nurse's friends says her boyfriend is there to pick her up. The other asks if she can get a ride home too. He asks her about her friend's betrayal. She admits she only said that to get him to reveal what happened. She notices a scratch on his forehead and says he is injured and needs to be disinfected. A system alert flashes, indicating that the B-rank zombie is showing strong cravings and must be hungry. She reminds him of her profession, stating that he doesn't need to go to the hospital since she can treat him herself. He is hesitant, but she reassures him, asking what he is afraid of, since she lives alone. A hidden side quest is triggered. The system encourages you to conquer the zombie nest to earn a 50-point reward. She playfully teases him, asking if he's afraid she'll eat him. He arrives at her apartment and sees a framed photo on the wall of a man who looks familiar. He sits awkwardly in her room, thinking that this is the second time today he's been to a girl's house, but the atmosphere feels strange. She brings him a drink, telling him not to be so formal. He replies that he also rents a place alone. She jokes and suggests they rent a place together to save on rent, which catches him completely off guard. As he processes her suggestion, he plays with a piece of her clothing he finds on the couch. She laughs and says she was just joking, because she didn't want to live with a man so soon. She then walks over, ready to apply some iodine to the scratch on his forehead to disinfect it. She warns him that the smell might be a little bad, but asks him to bear with it for a moment. The system issues another red alert, informing him that he's being suppressed by a zombie and urging him to attack immediately. He nervously tells the nurse that the iodine smells nice, but inside he thinks she's getting too close. She is confused by the strange compliment, reminding him that what he smells is just iodine. With a playful smile, she lifts the swab and teases him, asking if he always uses such silly topics to attract women. Disturbed, he explains that he smells a faint odor on her, wondering if it could be alcohol. She explains that it was the alcohol the vandal spilled on her. She jokingly calls him naughty for paying so much attention. She then lifts her shirt to show him the stain, asking if it can be washed. The action leaves him completely stunned. A new warning appears. The system has detected that the zombie's desire level is dangerously high, reaching a state of extreme hunger. She approaches, asking if he still smells the alcohol. The system continues to encourage him to attack immediately. Now she can treat his wound properly, but she whispers that his own body doesn't seem to be behaving, making him blush. For your own safety, the system warns you that if you do not take any action, it will enter a self-control mode. He panics, sweating profusely as he wonders how he should attack her in this kind of situation. At that moment, a poem he learned in elementary school about climbing a high mountain comes to mind. The poem talks about facing life's big challenges by becoming more detached and open-minded instead of pessimistic. She explains that you can never see the true face of a mountain because your own limited perspective gets in the way. The ancient sage's vision concludes that we must face these great challenges with a sincere heart. Suddenly, the student appears in the sage's vision, frightening the old man with a modern drink in his hand. Now he understands the deeper meaning of the poem and feels ashamed that he did not appreciate it as a child. Back in the present, the nurse calls him soft-spoken. Confused, he quickly denies being naughty. As he shows no resistance to her advances, the system announces that it will now take over his central control. He loses control of his body and panics as the system pushes him onto the bed, trapping the nurse. Lying in bed, she says his moves are tacky, but admits she likes them. The system encourages him to attack with full force. A red aura surrounds him as he delivers his judgment. Amused by his antics, the nurse assumes he's just acting out. He screams in protest as the system begins its armor removal protocol, tossing his pants aside. Your underwear is thrown into the air as the system fully commits to its aggressive self-control sequence. A cartoon metaphor illustrates his 20 long years of being single and completely inexperienced. The metaphor continues, showing a rabbit finally discovering a carrot, symbolizing the end of a long wait. The rabbit then begins to happily eat the carrot, representing the pinnacle of the system's automated actions. The situation quickly escalates as the system's self-control takes things to an intense and personal level. Events move forward with extreme speed as the system continues its forced and uncontrolled seizure of power. After 20 long years of being single, he finally believes he has a girlfriend. Time passes, symbolized by a photo of the starry sky, making way for a new day. The morning sun shines through the apartment window, signaling the beginning of a new chapter. The young man wakes up in bed, feeling a little dizzy after a restless night. The nurse is already awake and sitting beside him. She smiles, teasing him, and tells him he was more than she bargained for last night. She recognizes that young people are energetic and promises to reward him well for his efforts. With a soft expression, she says she hopes he won't refuse her offer of compensation. He's overcome with emotion and cries with joy. After more than 20 years of being single, he finally has a girlfriend. The system announces that the nurse's favorability has reached maximum. The B-rank zombie has been successfully tamed. He receives 2,000 experience points, increasing him to level 2. He also gains a new title and a special ability. Your stats are now higher, and your system coins have increased significantly, reflecting your recent achievements. He suggests they have breakfast and then drive her to work. She looks at him, confused by his domestic offer. She winks, holding up a wad of cash as a thank you for his hard work. Then she tells him her boyfriend is waiting downstairs. He's struck by a shocking realization, as if struck by lightning. He wonders if he's just become her paid tool. Outside, he sees her hugging another man. He asks if she slept well, and she responds with a seductive air. For the first time in his life, his heart truly aches. The system calls it normal post-battle PTSD, but the young man rejects the idea of a next time. Deciding to focus on making money, he checks the system store. As he levels up, he unlocks 2 new item slots to explore. The new items are an X-ray skill book and an item duplicator. The skill is great, but very expensive, and the duplicator seems to waste cheap gold. Speaking of gold, he remembers the 3 bars he bought earlier. He decides to go to a gold exchange to exchange them for cash immediately. He soon arrives at a high-end gold exchange shop, which ironically appears to be part of the Wang dynasty's business empire. The manager personally escorts him out of the store, politely telling Mr. Fu to look for them again if he needs anything in the future. He checks his phone and sees a notification. The Jingzhou Dynasty Group has transferred 186,000 to his account, and he's overjoyed. He feels relieved, knowing he has a steady income now. He decides to send 20,000 to his parents, keeping the rest for himself. Just as he completes the transfer, his phone starts ringing. He is surprised to see that it is his mother calling so soon. His mother's worried voice comes through the phone, questioning where he got so much money, and warning him against doing anything illegal or foolish. Standing in an alley, he panics and quickly invents a story about receiving a large bonus from his company to calm her down. 15 minutes later, the conversation finally ends. He tells her he will visit during his vacation and reminds her to take care of his father. He looks at his phone with a faint smile, thinking that in his mother's eyes, he will always be just a child. Tears well up in his eyes as he resolves to use the system to provide a better life for his parents. The system makes a sarcastic comment. His phone buzzes again, startling him. This time, the call is from Wang Yarong. She asks how he slept. He nervously says he slept well. Then she tells him to put on the tailored suit and meet her downstairs in 30 minutes. He breathes a sigh of relief, glad that she has no idea he snuck out last night. He wonders if she is finally arranging a job for him. Noticing his heavy breathing, she asks if he secretly went out. He panics, denies it, and sprints back while claiming he just woke up. The scene pans across the bustling city as he races against time to get back to the apartment without being caught. Later, he stands beside her in an elevator, wearing the new suit. She asks if it fits, and he admits the collar feels a bit tight. Suddenly, a red alert flashes from the system, warning that an S-rank zombie is approaching, and urging him to attack immediately. Just then, Wang Yarong steps closer and reaches out, beginning to adjust his tie for him. She says his tie is too tight and offers to loosen it for him, leaning in closer as he looks on nervously. She then mentions that to get the suit made, she requested his physical examination data from the hospital, which she found strange. The CEO notes that his height increased by 15 centimeters, finding it absurd. The system warns that it will now take control of him. He mentally panics, trying to fight back against the system's attempt to take over his body. His sudden tension and odd expression leave her confused, and she asks what he means by control. She pulls at his ill-fitting suit jacket, noting the poor fit and vowing to have the hospital staff responsible for the mistake fired. The woman then reminds him to remember his promise, warning that she despises being lied to. He nervously agrees. Satisfied with his answer, she gives his shoulder a light pat and says they can go. A system panel detects his feeling of relief. A system alert is lifted. He is rewarded with 40 points for surviving the S-rank zombie's intimidation in a confined space. As they exit the elevator, she instructs him to get familiar with the environment and to wait outside her office after work. A blonde woman greets CEO Wang, informing her that the daily schedule has been fully prepared, and asks if she needs a briefing. The CEO tells the assistant to simply show Lu Tian around, ensuring he has something to do and does not wander off alone. As Wang Yarong walks away, the assistant turns to the young man with a polite smile, and he offers a friendly smile in return. The assistant introduces him to the other staff, announcing that he will be serving the Dynasty group alongside them. He is welcomed warmly by the other employees. Overwhelmed by their greeting, the young man bows deeply in response. The assistant offers to introduce him to the company. He agrees, privately wondering why all the employees are women. He asks her to call him by his first name to be less formal. She agrees and introduces herself as Zhao Jiyu. Meanwhile, two other employees gossip, wondering if this handsome newcomer is the CEO's younger brother or someone else special. The assistant begins the tour, explaining that their daily work involves appraising and acquiring antiques for various clients. She adds that their clients are very wealthy, so they must always maintain a highly professional attitude. However, because he was recommended directly by the CEO, he will have to start from a basic position and work his way up. He humbly agrees, saying he is a novice. She reassures him that since it's mostly girls, he shouldn't hesitate to ask questions. At that moment, a blue system alert pops up on the screen, announcing that conquest mode has been activated. The assistant gives him an encouraging smile, confident that he will learn the ropes quickly if he works hard. He smirks to himself, thinking the system is quite selective, always picking beautiful women for him to conquer. She then hands him a towering stack of books, and he is shocked by the huge amount of reading material. She explains that these are just beginner-level materials on calligraphy appraisal and tells him to study them well. As she leaves the room, he sits down, wondering how he will ever finish reading all of these books. A system notification then appears, rewarding him with 200 coins for surviving 1 hour in the building full of zombies. He smiles, realizing he can earn rewards just by being at work. He estimates he can easily get over 2,000 system coins a day. With his newfound income potential, he decides to purchase the item duplicator from the system store. He gleefully imagines duplicating priceless antiques from the shop, thinking he could become incredibly wealthy in no time. As the workday comes to an end, the sun begins to set over the cityscape, casting a warm glow on the buildings. He spends the rest of his day sitting on a couch, diligently studying the books he was given earlier. He becomes surprisingly engrossed in his reading, finding the history and knowledge behind antiques quite fascinating. Suddenly, he overhears an angry voice from the manager's office, shouting about an agreed price being raised. Inside the office, Wang Yarong confronts the seller, Mr. Bai, demanding to know why he suddenly doubled the price of the jade tablet. Her expert, Uncle Gong, scoffs, telling the seller to take his item and leave as they won't deal with dishonest people. Enraged by their behavior, the CEO threatens to spread the word about their unprofessional conduct and ruin their business. Mr. Bai, however, remains confident, stating that he knows the true value of the item he is selling. He reveals that he is aware of her father's upcoming birthday, which is also when the new heir to the Dynasty group will be chosen. Believing he has the upper hand, he is certain other buyers will be interested. She furiously calls him a bully. Peeking through the door, a system alert notifies him that a conflict has activated a new skill called emotion monitoring. The CEO accuses him of breaking their deal and contacting her sister. The system detects the seller's rage, but the student questions the skill's purpose. Mr. Bai gloats, saying the price is a bargain for the heir's position, but the system detects guilt, confusing the young man. The expert warns her that if she gives in now, her reputation in the industry will be ruined. The system shows both are enraged. Peeking through the crack in the door, the student worries that the tense negotiation might escalate into a physical fight. He stares at the briefcase, wondering what treasure is worth 30 million. He wishes he could duplicate it for her. Suddenly, the CEO shouts towards the door, demanding to know who is lurking outside and threatening to call the police. Startled by her outburst, he realizes she is truly enraged to even consider calling the authorities. He quickly enters the room and apologizes, explaining that he was simply waiting for her as instructed. She angrily retorts, asking why he did not just go home if he saw she was busy. The assistant looks on helplessly. The system announces an incoming challenge as he sulks, thinking she's unfairly taking her frustration out on him. Seizing the opportunity, the seller picks up his briefcase and tells the CEO he will have to find another buyer. He gloats about his luck, but the system detects his anxiety, while the CEO stands behind him, fuming with rage. The student realizes that her losing her temper now will ruin everything. He decides he must intervene. The CEO glares at the seller, beginning to warn him what will happen if he dares to walk out the door. Before she can finish, the young man steps in front of the seller, telling him to drop the act. The seller turns, annoyed, asking who this brat is and telling him not to interfere in his business deal. The student calmly retorts that without the Wang family, the item in his hands would be practically worthless. The seller tries to feign confidence, but the system detects his deep unease, revealing his bluff to the young man. With this new insight, the student feels empowered. He realizes that seeing emotions is like playing a game with open cards. He confidently tells the seller that his other buyer must be Wang Yafu, but points out that he has forgotten one important thing. He gestures to the CEO, reminding the man that both sisters are from the same family, and questioning his right to interfere. A smile of relief appears on Wang Yarong's face as she realizes she almost fell for the bluff. The system detects her eased emotions. The youth continues to press him, questioning why someone as shrewd as Wang Yafu would pay such a high price. The seller insists she would. He then makes a bold guarantee, vowing to change his own name if the elder sister pays even a fraction of the new price. A system alert confirms the A-rank zombie is emotionally broken, rewarding the host with 10 extra gold coins for his success. Now terrified, the seller mumbles that the item is worth at least 3 million, though he inwardly doubts his own chances. The student calmly states the item is only worth 2 million and tells him to leave. The seller desperately turns to the CEO. Wang Yarong calmly tells him to go ahead and try selling to her sister, adding that she doubts she would even consider it. Completely defeated, the seller changes his tune and nervously offers to make the deal for the original 15 million. She sits down, coolly explaining that her family has enough influence to easily blacklist any unscrupulous dealer in the industry. The full weight of his mistake finally hits the seller, and he begins to panic, his face slick with sweat. He desperately begs her to reconsider, but she coldly instructs her assistant to show him out, ignoring his frantic price drops. She makes her final offer of 3 million, warning him to leave the item and that his career is now on the line. Terrified by her threat, the seller stammers that he understands and accepts the deal, his body trembling with fear. Later, the expert approaches the student asking if he is a new employee. He politely confirms he started today. The old man praises him, saying he has a bright future ahead for helping the CEO out of a difficult situation. At that moment, her favorability bar appears and increases significantly, as she looks at him with a pleased expression. He blushes, marveling at her sudden change in attitude. He wonders what might happen when the favorability bar is full. Later, at a fancy restaurant, she slides a brand new phone box across the table, telling him that it is for him. He's shocked to see it's the latest model with a full terabyte of storage, a luxury far beyond his means. He politely declines the expensive gift, explaining that as an employee, it is his duty to assist her. She insists, explaining that it is a reward. By helping the company save millions, he will also receive a 5% bonus. He quickly calculates the bonus is over 500,000, stunned by the amount. For him, it is an incredibly generous gift. Her words snap him out of his daze, and he blushes, embarrassed by his reaction to her generosity. With an amused smile, she holds her wine glass and says he is very suspicious. The system detects her excitement. A sudden red alert flashes, warning him that the system has detected intense killing intent from the S-rank zombie. He panics, wondering if she found him out, and quickly lies that he just found the seller's haggling style insincere. She laughs, finding his comparison of a multi-million deal to grocery shopping amusing. He explains the principle is the same. She takes a sip of her wine, admitting that while he seems a bit silly, he has a talent for negotiation. He sees her favorability bar rise again and feels relieved, realizing he must have successfully bluffed his way through. She then explains that the jade tablet isn't worth that price, but the seller knew how much it meant to her personally. He sips his wine, remarking that the jade must be very important to her for the seller to exploit her like that. She confirms that the jade is a family heirloom, passed down through 4 generations to her father. A flashback shows her family standing in front of their antique shop, which was a well-known establishment in the industry. She recounts a difficult time 20 years ago when her mother lost most of their savings in the stock market, nearly bankrupting them. Shortly after, she fell gravely ill and was admitted to the intensive care unit, adding to the family's hardship. The young man listens intently, looking concerned as he asks about the cause of her illness. She reveals she had a tumor on her cardiovascular system that required surgery, leaving her with a long scar. She playfully tells him not to get any ideas, as she won't be showing him the scar, making him laugh nervously. She continues her story, explaining that at the time, very few doctors in the country could perform such a complex surgery. He correctly deduces that her father sold their precious family heirloom to pay for her life-saving operation. She nods, a distant look in her eyes, as she says she will never forget what she saw when she woke up after the surgery. The first thing she saw when she woke up in the hospital was her father's face beside her bed. Tears of relief streamed down her father's face as he saw that his beloved daughter was finally awake. He hugged her tightly on the bed, thanking God for saving her. A nurse gently asked him to be calm. Back in the present, the system rewards him for the information, but then gives him a ridiculous mission to exterminate her family. She takes a sip of wine, her expression sad as she says finding the jade is a way to repay her father. The system detects her sorrow. He tries to cheer her up, telling her it is a happy occasion, but she cuts him off, ordering him to sit down. Looking flushed from the alcohol, she gives him an ultimatum to either drink with her or be quiet. A system alert pops up, announcing that the S-rank zombie has issued a challenge and encouraging him to accept it. With a look of resolve, he loosens his tie, agreeing to drink with her if it will help ease her worries. Later that night, the lights of the tall city buildings twinkle in the darkness. Not knowing where she lived, he had to bring the intoxicated CEO back to her apartment, where she now lies passed out on the bed. She drunkenly thrashes on the bed, demanding more wine and asking why he has stopped drinking. He decides it is best to slip away quietly and let her sleep it off to avoid any misunderstandings. In the bathroom, he sits down and opens the system store, having earned 500 coins from a hidden quest. He checks his balance, which now stands at 1385 coins, and begins to look for any useful new items. He checks the updated system store, which shows 5 available items and a countdown timer for the next refresh. The items include a simple pineapple for 800 coins and a powerful assault rifle for 1200 coins. Other items are a strength-enhancing skill book for a staggering 15,000 coins, an anti-tank mine and a shark-proof suit. He stares at the skill book, thinking it's incredibly expensive but would have been very useful in past fights. He remembers the brawl at the restaurant, realizing that with the strength skill, he could have handled the situation much more easily. Suddenly, Wang Yarong appears in the bathroom doorway, startling him as he is calculating how to earn enough coins for the skill. She stumbles inside, looking pale and unwell, muttering that she cannot hold it in any longer. He panics, waving his hands frantically and shouting that the bathroom is already occupied. A red system alert flashes, warning him that an S-rank zombie is approaching with a biochemical weapon. Before he can react, she leans over the toilet and vomits, splashing him in the process. The system hilariously urges him to attack, stating he is in the perfect position behind the S-rank zombie. She sighs in relief after being sick, completely oblivious to the student's horrified expression behind her. Tears stream down his face as the warm, wet sensation brings a traumatic memory of an old friend to his mind. A black screen appears with the name Andy and a famous quote about some birds not being meant to be caged. The scene then shows he crawling through a sewer pipe in the rain, a clear reference to a famous movie Escape. The dramatic parody continues, showing his horrified face in the pouring rain, now with a comical duck beak and rosy cheeks. He then throws his arms open to the sky, embracing the downpour in a moment of supposed freedom and catharsis. But a new red alert flashes on the system, urgently warning that he is under a biochemical attack and must take immediate evasive action.